have a few challenges that I have committed myself to in 2025, and one of them is to read these 25 books in 2025. Now, I don't know why I'm doing this. If I did this back in 24 books in 2024, and I read 4 of them. I had a little bit more of a structure this year to pick out the books that I wanted to read. Last year, I feel like I was like, oh yeah, I want to read this one, and I just picked a bunch of books. This time, I have 5 categories that have 5 books in each. Obviously, 5 times 5 is 25. There is your math lesson for the day, but I have 5 categories, 5 books in each of these categories, and hopefully this way, with a little bit more structure, with a little bit more thinking and putting forth effort in the TBR, hopefully I can get them read. But we will see at the end of 2025 if I do read these. The good thing about last year is that I never made a video, so I feel like I didn't put it out in the universe, and the universe didn't even know about it. You know what I mean? So this year I'm putting it out there, and hopefully we'll get these read. We're gonna start off with new releases. I try to keep this TBR to backlist titles or titles that I already have on my shelf. That's the point of this, is to read the books that you own one way or another. But I wanted to add these 5 books on here because they are anticipated releases. I feel like every year I make a video and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was an anticipated read 2 years ago and I still haven't read it. I don't want that to happen with these specific books. So that's why I have added them to this list, in the hopes that it does motivate me to read anticipated releases of the year. The first one, Emily Henry, no surprise here. I think this is about 2 characters that are both writers. I think one is a Pulitzer Prize winner. The other one is an aspiring author. She wants to make it big, but they're both in the running almost to like a contest. There is this opportunity to write this biography on this woman, on this heiress that has not been seen for many years. They get the opportunity to write the biography, but they're sort of competing against each other. They're gonna go live with this woman for 1 month, and one of them is gonna have the exclusivity of writing the biography. The thing is that I believe that she gives each one of them, the woman, the heiress, gives each one of them different parts of her life, and they're not able to swap stories, and so that's how they have to come up with things. I don't know, it sounds super cute. Again, we have authors and the whole like writing element in the story, and I love those kinds of books, so I'm really looking forward to this. I'm gonna do a prediction. I'm not doing 5-star predictions, but I am gonna predict that this is gonna be a 5-star, hopefully, because usually her books are 5 stars for me. The next book is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I read The Last Housewife, I believe that's the name of the book, and Midnight is the Darkest Hour by this author, and I loved both of them. They were both 4-star reads, so I'm really interested in continuing to read her books. She does have a couple of backlist titles, I think, that I still have to catch up on. I don't want to know too much about this. I did go and look at the synopsis of some of these, but there are some of these books that I really want to go in blind, that I like to go in blind to. So this one is one of them. I don't want to read too much. All I know is that they're 5 amateur sleuths, and they are after this elusive killer, and they get into a lot of danger. That's all I need to know. I love her writing because it's very dark, but lyrical, but not at the same time, like not too lyrical, if you know what I mean. But really looking forward to this one. Oh please, let's not start saying that for each book.
I'm really looking forward to this.
We know. Third one is Witchcraft for Wayward Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I was about to say Jimi Hendrix. This released yesterday. I need to go buy it. Hopefully after I finish filming, I'll go buy the book, but don't want to. This is one of those that I don't want to know too much about because it's an auto buy, auto read, and his stories are so unique that sometimes if I read the synopsis, they kind of like mess up the vibe for me. But I believe this takes place in 1970, and it follows a character that gets sent to one of these homes where they sent girls that are pregnant or loose girls, sort of to hide pregnancies, create adoptions, and all this stuff. They stay there with nuns, I believe. I think that we follow that here, and 2 of the characters get together maybe, and they're introduced to witchcraft. I don't know, but I'm expecting fun. I'm expecting creepy, but not too creepy. I never get really creeped out with Grady Hendrix books, really. But I can't wait to see what fun vibes we get from this book. Another one I'm so excited for in 2025 is The Unworthy by Agustina Basterrica. She's an Argentinian author. Her work is translated to English. I am still hoping to get to Cadáver Exquisito, which is Tender as the Flesh. But I would love to read the Spanish version of this too, but the first one that I want to read obviously is the English one. I don't want to know too much about this one either, but I think we're following a apocalyptic timeline, and at the same time we're following a story that a woman who is kept in a coven, she's writing like a story, and we're following her story along with the arrival of another person to the convent, and then but there's an apocalyptic world going on. I don't want to know too much, but it does say on the synopsis, this is an apocalyptic tale about climate crisis, ideological extremism, and the tidal pool of our most violent exploitative instincts. Sold. And then the last book in this category is Overgrowth by Myra Grant. I love her books. I love how they're more science fiction. Another one that I don't want to read too much about, or the synopsis too, but it involves body horror and alien invasion. Say less. Say absolute less. Second category is books that I have owned for more than 5 years. I found 5 here that really stuck out to me, and like I said, they've been on my TBR for more than 5 years. They need to get read. The first one is The Blade Itself. I'm not going to read the synopsis to this or tell you what this is about because I was lost just reading the synopsis. So I feel like this is going to be like a complex book for me to understand and grasp. So I'm not even going to try right now because like I said, I read the synopsis and I was like, what does this say? But a lot of people rave about this book. A friend of mine many years ago recommended this to me in the Bookstagram community, and it's just been on my shelves. I actually own the whole trilogy because I bought this at a half price books and they had the whole trilogy available and they all matched, so I was like, let's just do it. But it is time to finally get to this one. Italian Folktales by Italo Galvino. It's exactly what it is. It's Italian folklore. It's different stories. I think there's 200 stories in here. They're selected and retold by this author. This is the only book that was on my 24 books for 2024 that made it onto this year's challenge. I didn't want to have any rollover books, but this is one that I really wanted to get to last year, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I was super intimidated by it. One of my goals for 2024 was to read more authors or more books by authors with my nationality, which are Italian and Argentinian. Did I use the right word? You know what I mean. My mom's Argentinian, my dad was Italian, and that's why I want to read more Agustina and just different authors. That's why I read Trust last year, which was a Pulitzer Prize winner for 2023, I believe. And this one was on my TBR, but I never got to it. Hopefully this year I'm able to tackle it. I think this might be a book that I might read throughout the year since they are stories. Yeah, I just looked because I was like, that sounded really exaggerated to say 200 stories, but I could have sworn I did read that somewhere as I was doing the research for this video. And yes, sure enough, there's 200 stories in here. But I guess I could read a story, you know, every couple of days or whatever just to get through it. But I'm really excited to see some Italian folklore, so excited to read this one. The Power. I've spoken about this, like I think I hauled this book more than 5 years ago. Oh my gosh. And I just haven't read this. This is by Naomi Alderman, and I believe in this world teenage girls start having immense physical powers and they start wreaking havoc. So that's all I want to know. It sounds very like girl power and empowering, so I'm happy to be taking this off the shelves and dusting the dust. Dusting the dust off? Or dusting it off? I do read, I promise. Haven by Tom, I don't know how to say this, Dede or Deddy? I want to say Deddy because dead and why, you know, but it's probably Dede. This takes place in 1960. There is a community and there have been like some killings going on in the community. They put a man away that was caught with a dead body, a dead girl in his hands. He's kind of like deformed because of an accident that he had, but because he had the girl, I think they put him away because they're adamant that this is the killer. He's been locked away for 17 years. He gets out, comes back to the town, and I'm not sure if the killings start again or not. I think that's the direction. The long of it is that this person says that he did not commit any of those murders. He is wrongly imprisoned, but super curious to see what this book is about. It's 5 pages shy of being a 500-page book, but it's like a heavy book. but super curious about this one because I've really been staring at this one from my shelves day in and day out, and I'm just, the cover is so like ominous, and it's like inviting. And then the last one in this category is what? The last one in this category is The Devil Krypton by Anya Alborn. Obviously, this has been on my shelves for a really long time. I have read a few of her books. I really like her writing, so I don't know what my hesitation is with picking up more of her works. In this one, we follow a story of where a boy goes missing, and his cousin, who is also his bestie, is adamant about finding what happened to him, if he's still alive. But at the same time, there are some rumors in the town of mysterious deaths and disappearances, and they feel like there is a killer on the loose. So this kid is like, yo, let's find my cousin because there's a killer on the loose. But there's never been like any certain things. There's just rumors around the community. So sounds intense, sounds creepy. And you know what, with Anya Alborn's, her covers scare me more than the actual book. So I'm looking forward to it though, because her stories are creepy nonetheless. Next category is books that release in 2024. I'm really trying to get to these anticipated reads. Those are the books that I'm trying to focus on, because I'm like, why are they anticipated and you're not reading them? What is your hesitation? The minute I got Dearest in my book of the month, I was dying to read it. I mean, first off, look at this creepy ass cover with this little no, creepy. It's inviting. The colors, I love it. It's giving me the same vibes almost as someone inside or someone in the attic. Just those, you know, like pinks and purples and blues. I think these came out at in the same month. I could be completely wrong, but like, they match so well. Now you know what's one of the other books that's in this category. I feel like the synopsis to this book is eerie, and then the cover just intensifies this eeriness. And I love when a cover does this. I mean, duh, that's the point of a cover, but some covers just miss the mark sometimes, and then some of them just get it right. This is about a new mother, Flora. She just had a baby. She is doing okay. She's handling things. The only thing is that her husband is deployed and she's feeling very lonely and alone. But her mother shows up, her estranged mother, after years and years and years of not talking. And I think she's coming to like mend things with her daughter. But things just start going wrong and start happening after her mother shows up, which bring up like things from the past. And it just sounds so good. I guess since you guys saw it already, let's talk about Someone in the Attic. This is another one. I don't know if it was the cover, the vibes in the covers are just calling to me, but this is another one that I wanted to read as soon as it came in. And at last it just sat there in the piles, stacks of hauls that I have behind me. This is about a guy that just hides in your attic and just comes out at random times and kills whoever is in the room. He comes down. There's a video also that is seen of him. I think this girl sees a video that is like her house, and the man is in the attic, this masked man, and he's just walking around, and I think she ends up dead. But how creepy does that sound? Like, the attic is such a creepy place. Like, how can there be an area in the house that's creepier than an attic? Yes, a dumbwaiter. Like, how scary are dumbwaiters? But anyways, going back to this, I just can't fathom you're just chilling in your house and somebody comes. No. I was dying to read every time I go on vacation somebody dies. But I didn't, because this is such a summery book that I couldn't see myself reading it in the fall. Like, just the vibes weren't there. So I'm hoping to read it this summer. But if I'm not mistaken, this follows an author that is on an Italian tour, and the tour turns into a real life murder mystery. You guys know how I feel about murder mysteries. I love them all. If they're cozy, even better. And I can't wait. The 13th Child by Erin A. Craig. I read the other book by, I mean, she has many books, but I read the other book by her that was a fairy tale retelling. Is that all she does? Because I could be saying the other one and all her books are retellings. But this is a retelling of Godfather Death by the Grimm brothers. I've never read that story, but apparently it has to do with this man. He's a poor fisherman. He has a newborn son, and he wants his son to have Death as his godfather because he feels like Death would be the most honest ever. He ends up, at the christening, he ends up giving the fisherman like a bottle, and this fisherman becomes like a wealthy doctor. Like I said, I've never read it. I just read the synopsis or like a general, obviously, of the story. But I think in this story, we are following a girl who is the 13th child, and she's awaiting to hear from her godfather, Death. I think the 13th child is given to the gods or something. Well, he gives her a gift of becoming a doctor that could just look at somebody and know what they need to be cured. As we've all heard before, all gifts come with a price. So I'm really excited to read this. The other one that I read by her, which was also a retelling, I loved the writing in that one so much. So I'm very eager to see what she does here. And the last one in this category is How to Solve Your Own Murder by Kristen Perrin. I was sent this for review and I never got it read. Super intrigued by it, but I think we follow Frances is our main character. She goes out to the county fair one night and this fortune teller tells her that she's gonna die by murder. And so she spends her life trying to avoid this, but 60 years later, she's been murdered. And it is up to her niece, her grandniece, to solve her murder. So murder mystery, a fortune teller, a county fair, like sign me the up. How many more categories do we have? How many more? The next category is series that I need to continue. We need to start cracking down on like the 50 series, cozy mystery series that I started in 2024, but we're not going to be focusing just on cozy mysteries, but I did start a lot of cozy mystery series last year. I just want to point that out because it's kind of insane how many I started. But I have a few here, 5 obviously to be exact. I need to read the second book in the Empyrean series. Is that how you say it? Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? I loved The Fourth Wing. Loved it. Obsessed. Obsessed. Why is this one still not read? I'm not going to say anything about these because these are books 2, 3, and over in series, so I don't want to spoil anything, but I need to read this. Did book 3 come out already? I think it did. I'm so behind the times. For a Few Souls More. This is a follow-up story. It's a splatter western, but it's a follow-up story to The Magpie Coffin, which is one of my favorite books in the splatter western series. I believe it's the first book in the series. This series, they're all standalone books by different authors. They're just considered part of the splatter western world. I obsess over these books. I have read more than half of the whole collection. Let's call it a collection. And I love them. But he came out with book 2 for The Magpie Coffin, and I cannot wait to see what Salem Covington, I still remember his name, is up to because love him. The Messy Man series. This is the Messy Man series. This is book 3, which is named after the series, The Messy Man. This is a conclusion, books 1 and 2. First off, let me say that I do not like haunted house books. They're just not for me. But every now and then, one of them creeps in because I'm a masochist and I have to read shit that I don't like in the off chance that I might like them. Are you like that? But for whatever reason, I read The Nightmare Room, which is the first book in this series. Loved it so much. The second book didn't disappoint either. It was just as good as the first one. And then I need to finish this because I read the second book a couple years back. It's been years. And I need to finish the trilogy. Chris Sorensen, if you like haunted house stories, and even if you don't, pick it up. The first book is super, super creepy. It's my favorite in the whole trilogy. Well, I don't know yet if it is my favorite in the whole trilogy, but it's my favorite out of the 2 that I have read. But if you like haunted house stories, check it out. It's really creepy. Another one is Finders Keepers, Stephen King. I wanted to have some kind of challenge with Stephen King in 2025, but I feel like that's so cliche and cliche. Why did I say it like that? And I also feel like every time I put Stephen King as a challenge on my reading challenge for the year, I never complete them. So I'm trying to sprinkle him here and there. I know he has a new release obviously this year that I do want to read, but that's not what this video is about. Finders Keepers, the second book in the Bill Hodges trilogy. Loved the first book so much. And I haven't read Holly yet just because I haven't finished this whole series, but I love Holly as a character. Excited to jump into this one. And then the last and final one in this category is A Death Long Overdue by Eva Gates. This is part of the Lighthouse Library Mystery series that I go on and on about. I really need to get back into it because all of 2024 passed and I didn't read a single book from this series. Why? If I love it so much, what is the problem? So I'm not saying that I'll finish the series this year. I think I have like, after this one, I will have 2 books left in the whole entire series, maybe 2 or 3. And I'm not saying I'll finish it, but I would really like to, being that there's such little books and there's 365 days in the year. Like, come on, we could do this. The last categories is going to be favorite authors. So I want to read at least 1 book from my 5 favorite authors. Obviously, we're talking about 5 because the categories are a 5. And I have a list here, but I'm in a little pickle, or a stack, not a list. And I'm in a little bit of a pickle. I really am, because I really love Alice Hoffman. She is a favorite character. No, why do I do that all the time? She is a favorite author of mine, and I love each and every one of her books. I've read like 5 of her books, and each one has been a 5-star read. Maybe there's been 1 4-star, but usually it's a 5-star read. But the problem with Alice Hoffman is that I really have to be in the mood for her. Like, really. Usually happens around the fall time. So my inkling is to put Alice Hoffman on the list. But one author that has been making her way onto my favorites list is Delilah Dawson. And I've had this book, Kill the Farm Boy, which is by Delilah Dawson and Kevin Hearn. I've been wanting to read this since I bought it. So I'm kind of in the pickle of like, which one do I pick? Maybe vote in the comments if I should keep Alice Hoffman on the list or if I should put Delilah Dawson. So it's up to you. Please don't steer me wrong. I mean, you really can with either one of these, so I trust you. Freezer Burn by Joe R. Lansdale. First off, the cover, one of my favorite cover artists ever. And every time I see a book cover by him, I buy the book regardless. But here we need no regardless because Joe R. Lansdale is a favorite author of mine. Obviously, he would not be in this category if he wasn't. But Freezer Burn, we follow a guy, Billy. Billy kind of keeps his mom in her bedroom, kind of sort of freeze dried just to keep collecting on her welfare checks. But something happens where they stop coming and he's like, damn, I need money. So he decides to rob a stand somewhere. Shit goes wrong and he ends up on the run with a freak show. I have heard such great things about this book, and I have to believe it because, like I said, I love his writing, and so would love to get to this one in 2025. Brian Keene had to be on this list. The Complex. I actually read the first 2 pages of this one day, just skimming through my books, and I got so enthralled. I don't know why I didn't end up picking it up. I think it was just like I was already reading something else and I was just glancing. Yeah, I don't know, like sometimes I just walk through my books and pull them out, and I love doing that. I love playing with my books and being around my books and just randomly grabbing them and touching them. This takes place in an apartment complex, and the individuals that live in this apartment complex are kind of weird. There's like some criminals, a newlywed couple, nothing weird about that, but there's just like different kinds of people, obviously, as there are in apartment complexes. But the apocalypse is coming upon them, and all these strangers need to get together and try to survive within this apartment complex. It sounds intense, it sounds scary, and apocalyptic books, I love apocalyptic books. Why aren't we still reading about apocalyptic books? I know some of y'all are tired of that trope, but it's one of my favorites. As a matter of fact, I want to reread The Hunger Games. I really do. Megan Miranda is another one of my favorite authors, but for the past few years, I've bought all of her new books, but I haven't read any of them. I've sort of been like pushing her to the side, and I don't know why, when I really do love her books. Come Find Me is about these 2 characters, and they had come together through this mysterious frequency that they both pick up. And these both characters somehow have some kind of family tragedy. Now, I don't know if this is a family tragedy together or each one had their own tragedies, but they come together to find out what this frequency is about. And that's all I want to know. Excited. Is this the last one? Yeah, I think this is the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this is the last one, and this is a big bitch. This is Ghoul and the Cape by Josh Malerman. This is like a special edition, like numbered 957. Was there only 1,000? I don't know. I think so. But this is a big bitch of a book, and it has like pictures and stuff. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, just like the Blade itself, I tried to read the synopsis and I was like, what? That's why sometimes I don't like to read synopsis, because I feel like if the synopsis confuses me, I already go into the book with like a confused vibe, and that can't be good. But I tried to read the synopsis to this, did not help. So I don't know what this is about, but I'm imagining it's some kind of like good versus evil maybe. I'm getting like the Stan vibes, but different, but like that kind of like good versus evil type of situation. Maybe like a lawman I'm getting, maybe a killer on the loose. There's the Hollywood sign, which... Oh, and also like the Statue of Liberty, but super, super intrigued. Josh Malerman. Love his writing so much, but it is an acquired taste. He has like a very stilted way of writing, but for me, it absolutely works. But I tried to read this. I had like the pages separated. I tried to read this for Tome Topple last year and it didn't happen. So on to my 25 books for 2025 it goes. So that's it. Those are the 25 books that I would love to get to in 2025. I hope that the way that I went about it this year really does help me achieve this challenge, and if not, really it's no big deal. But let me know what books are on your 2025 TBR. Even if it's not just the 25 books, what 2 or 3 books are you really looking forward to read this year? Let's chat books in the comment section down below. As usual, all these books will be linked in the description box. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!